The San Francisco 49ers are making massive waves right before the NFL draft. They have just locked down their elite offensive anchor Trent Williams with a staggering $50 million contract extension. This ensures the future Hall of Famer stays with the team through 2027 and gives management total flexibility as they head into the draft.
Never run out of battery again with the INIU portable charger, the slimmest 10,000 milliamp hour power bank that keeps your devices charged on the go. Stay powered up wherever you go. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
We are also diving deep into the history of the John Lynch era to weigh the greatest draft steals against the most painful busts. While the blockbuster trade for Trey Lance remains one of the most costly missteps in recent franchise memory, it set the stage for one of the most incredible feel-good stories in league history. That story leads us straight to Brock Purdy, the undisputed steal of the decade who transformed from Mr. Irrelevant into the heart of the 49ers offense. Plus, we are looking back at two absolute legends, Roger Craig and Randy Cross, who proved that you do not need a first-round pick to find superstars who will define a dynasty. Finally, we are holding nothing back as we revisit the most head-scratching draft blunders including Jalen Hurd, Solomon Thomas, and Reuben Foster. Want to stay ahead of all the latest 49ers news and draft analysis? Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Think the San Francisco 49ers are just prepping for the draft? Think again. They just made a blockbuster move that secures the future of their entire offense before the clock even starts ticking. The Niners just handed out a massive 2-year, $50 million extension to their offensive anchor, Trent Williams, locking him in through 2027. We're talking about $37 million in guaranteed money and a cool $22 million signing bonus. Why does this matter so much? Because it completely flips the script on their draft strategy. With the 27th overall pick coming up, the front office was under immense pressure to find a successor for that blind side. By signing Williams, they've bought themselves the luxury of breathing room. They aren't forced to draft for need anymore. Now, they can simply take the best athlete on the board, and that kind of flexibility is gold in the NFL draft. Now I know what you're thinking. The guy is turning 38. Is he really worth the price tag? Absolutely. He just locked up his 12th consecutive Pro Bowl selection. That is legendary stuff. He is playing at a level that makes his age look like just a number, and he's closing in on Bruce Matthews' all-time record. More than just his stats, he's the ultimate security blanket for Brock Purdy. In a league where quarterback safety is everything, keeping a future Hall of Famer as your protector is the smartest investment a team can make. It's a masterstroke of roster management that proves the Niners aren't just thinking about next season. They're building for a dynasty. But what do you think? Is this the missing piece that pushes them over the edge for a Super Bowl run, or is the age factor finally going to catch up to him? Smash that like button, subscribe for your daily dose of football updates, and drop a comment below with your take. After all, in the NFL, the best offense is the one that stays standing. Ever wondered how one single draft class can define the fate of an entire franchise? In the high-stakes world of the NFL, the John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan era in San Francisco has been a roller coaster of pure brilliance and head-scratching blunders. It is the nature of the beast. Some guys are destined for Canton, while others simply fade into the footnotes of team history. But in San Francisco, the narrative is split right down the middle by two very different quarterbacks. Let's talk about the elephant in the room first, the Trey Lance trade. Looking back, it is hard to view that move as anything other than a massive, franchise-altering misstep. The Niners gambled the future by surrendering 3 first-round picks and a third-rounder, all for a player who would start just 4 games in a red and gold uniform. The cost was astronomical, and honestly, the ripple effects are still being felt 5 years later. Lance's journey since leaving the Bay has been a struggle, and it is becoming increasingly clear that he may never find that starting role he once promised. But then, there is the other side of the coin, a story so poetic it feels scripted. Enter Brock Purdy. Drafted as the infamous Mr. Irrelevant, in 2022, Purdy has become arguably the greatest draft steal in modern NFL history. It is a crazy full-circle moment. The team used a compensatory pick earned from their 2017 selection of C.J. Beathard to snag Purdy. That one modest, back-end-of-the-draft selection essentially saved the franchise's trajectory. From NFC Championship appearances to a Super Bowl berth, Purdy has been the most impactful quarterback for this team since the days of Steve Young. It just goes to show that in the NFL, the most important investments aren't always the ones that cost you the most. Sometimes, they are the ones you find when no one else is looking. What do you think? Does the Purdy success story fully redeem the Lance disaster, or will that trade always stain the Lynch-Shanahan legacy? Drop a comment below and let us know your take, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the stories that shape the game we love. At the end of the day, draft picks are just guesses, but championships are built on the ones that actually pan out. Think about the modern NFL for a second. Everyone talks about first-round superstars, but championships are built in the dark, the second round, where the real value hides. Today, we're looking at the San Francisco 49ers, a team that has a historic knack for finding absolute game-changers outside the top 32 picks. While names like Deebo Samuel have dominated the modern headlines, the DNA of the 49ers dynasty was written by legends who proved that draft position is just a number. Let's talk about two absolute icons of the red and gold. First, we have to start with the man who finally got his gold jacket, Roger Craig. Drafted in 1983, Craig wasn't just a running back. He was a revolution on grass. Before the modern era of the dual-threat back, there was Roger. He literally invented the 1,000-yard rushing and 1,000-yard receiving club in 1985. Think about the physical toll that takes, the sheer versatility required to punish defenders between the tackles and then burn them on a wheel route. He was the engine of Bill Walsh's West Coast offense, and without his Heine running style and grit, those 3 Super Bowl rings simply wouldn't exist. Then, consider the unsung hero who anchored the dynasty, Randy Cross. If you want to talk about adaptability, this is your guy. Cross entered the league as a tight end, which seems almost impossible when you realize he spent over a decade as one of the most reliable offensive linemen in NFL history. He was the quiet strength that let Joe Montana work his magic. Every legendary quarterback needs that bedrock of protection, and Cross provided the intelligence and grit that kept the 49ers offensive machine humming through the 80s. He didn't just play the position, he mastered the art of winning in the trenches. These players remind us that true greatness isn't about where you start. It's about how you adapt and dominate when your number is called. It's a testament to the 49ers, legendary scouting department, and the culture of excellence they've maintained for decades. Which second-round gem do you think was the most important to the Niners' history? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the legends of the gridiron. Because at the end of the day, a team is only as strong as the players who prove everyone wrong. We all love a good redemption story, but what about the ones that just never got off the ground? When you look at the San Francisco 49ers under Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, you see undeniable success, multiple Super Bowl trips, and a culture that turned a struggling franchise into a powerhouse. But the draft is an unpredictable beast, and even the best front offices take some brutal swings and misses. Today, we're looking back at 5 draft picks that, for one reason or another, just didn't pan out. First up is Jalen Hurd. Taken in the 2019 third round, this was meant to be an explosive playmaker, but instead, it became a tragedy of health. A string of knee and back injuries meant Hurd never took a single snap in a regular season game. It hurts even more when you realize players like Terry McLaurin, David Montgomery, and Max Crosby were all available shortly after. Next, let's talk about the 2017 draft, a year that started with Solomon Thomas at 3rd overall. Expectations were sky-high, but Thomas ended up as a rotational piece rather than the defensive anchor he was drafted to be. When you realize Patrick Mahomes and T.J. Watt were on the board, it's impossible not to wonder, what if? Then there's the Reuben Foster saga. He showed incredible flashes of talent, displaying that rare sideline-to-sideline speed, but off-field issues and legal troubles cut his tenure with the team incredibly short. It's the ultimate cautionary tale of talent failing to outweigh the risks. We also have to mention the kicker, Jake Moody. Spending a third-round pick on a specialist is a massive leap of faith. While he's had his moments, missed extra points and field goal inconsistencies have left many fans questioning if that draft capital could have been spent elsewhere. And finally, the elephant in the room, Trey Lance. Trading 3 first-round picks for a guy who ultimately played just 8 games for the team is a swing that almost broke the franchise. If it weren't for the absolute miracle of finding Brock Purdy with the final pick of the 2022 draft, we might be looking at a completely different landscape in Santa Clara today. It's a sobering reminder that in the NFL, the difference between a championship window and a rebuild can come down to a single envelope handed to the commissioner. Which of these picks still keeps you up at night? And who do you think was the biggest, what could have been for the Niners? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that subscribe button for more deep dives into the game we love. And remember, in the NFL, you're only as good as your last draft class.